Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to my videos. Another paid request, this time from Don. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. It could be for pretty much any type of video. And Don wanted me to do a reaction of his 15 favorite horror films, which, I mean, is a pretty good list to me. Because number 15, you got Dog Soldiers. Love Dog Soldiers. Is my favorite werewolf film. Love the combination of action and horror. Love the look of the werewolves. I think the cast do a good job. Still, in my opinion, Neil Marshall's best movie. Love Dog Soldiers. I know originally Jason Statham was supposed to star in it, but then I think he took John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars instead. Which, in retrospect, I mean, I wish he would have starred in Dog Soldiers because it would have been a starring role. Although the guy in it still did a nice enough job. And it's soldiers in a place in the middle of nowhere with a little bit of a Assault on Precinct 13 style siege movie, but instead of random bad guys, it's werewolves trying to get into the place. And, like I said, my favorite werewolf film. Number 14, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Classic film. I mean, what more could be said that has been said about the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre? It's visceral, it's intense, has a documentary style feel to it. It's one of those few films that, quote, scared me back in the day, because it just felt so raw and so unnerving, and deserves the respect that it gets. Number 13, Waxwork 1 and 2. Cool to see those on the list. Rest in peace, Anthony Hitcher, the director. Sadly, we lost him this year. And those are childhood favorites of mine. Both stars Zach Galligan from Gremlins. You have David Warner in the first one. You have David Carradine, Bruce Campbell, Alexander Godunov from Die Hard. They're all in the second one. I like both of them. I probably like the second one more, but I do it like first one. Group of kids, teenagers go to his wax museum, and if you go too far over into the exhibit, you get into the world, the dimension of the exhibit, and you have to fight for your life, and if you die, you then become part of the exhibit, and you get segments. It's only like an interesting way of doing an anthology, but it's still within the same movie. So you get like a vampire story, you get a werewolf story, you did Nas the Night of the Living Dead, you did a whole monster jamboree where the normal people and the monsters have this knockdown, drag out fight. Waxwork 2, Patrick McNee, who's in both films, he kind of says it best, that you're in God's Nintendo game. And it's pretty much Zach Galligan has to find evidence so that his girlfriend, his love, will be free because she's on trial for murder. So they go into this various dimensions to try to get evidence, and they go into like a Frankenstein story. They get split up, and one's in an ode to The Haunting, everything's in black and white. The other's in an ode to Alien. It has one of the more creative scenes I've ever witnessed, where your hero, your villain have a sword fight going through various dimensions, and these various dimensions is an ode to Dawn of the Dead, an ode to Godzilla, an ode to Body Snatchers even, or at least one little reference. Jack the Ripper, Nosferatu, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. It just, they said, very creative. And it showed what you could do with low budget. You just got some good gore, got some recognizable actors in supporting roles, sense of humor. Enjoy those movies a lot. Number 12, Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. I mean, that's classic. What more could be said? Welcome to Primetime Bitch, Robert Englund on his A game, The Dream Warriors by Dokken, that great song. Again, fun movie. Friday the 13th Part 6 is number 11, another fun sequel. I like Tom Matthews as Tommy Jarvis. I like the more zombie Jason. I like some of the kills, whether it be the girl being in the RV, face pressed into the wall, and you see her face emerge, so to speak, from the wall. People get their body snapped in half like a twig, or a hole punched through them. I did quite like those kills. Again, I like the sense of humor. You get actual kids at the camp and some of the dialogue they have. Even the whole James Bond motif at the beginning to intro the film. It was a fun change of pace for the franchise. Number 10, Dawn of the Dead. I think this is for the original Dawn of the Dead, I believe. I didn't write the year down. Or did he say the year? So I'm assuming it's the original Dawn of the Dead. I mean, I like the Dawn of the Dead remake, but I will put these other films above it. But the original Dawn of the Dead is a classic. It's one of my favorite films. It's one of my favorite films of the 70s. It's my favorite zombie film. It's my favorite George Romero film. Dawn of the Dead, I love the mall aesthetic. I love how you can look into it deeply about the social structures of economy and materialism, but you can also look at it as just a fun, gory adventure movie. But it's a horror movie with quite a bit of headshots. And Ken Foray is a badass in that movie. Tom Savini's fun. I see you, Chocolate Man. Number 9, Return of the Living Dead. I would say I like these other films more than Return of the Living Dead. I don't mind Return of the Living Dead. The ending is a bit of a bummer. The ending kind of leaves a little sour taste in my mouth, but I get what the joke is. That also has Tom Matthews, who was in Friday the 13th Part 6. Clu Gulager, enjoyable cast, solid punk soundtrack. Even the score is well done. Really nice makeup effects, like the trioxin theme. And like I said, great soundtrack. Do you want a party? It's party time. That's where it's probably the first movie that introduced the zombies going brains, brains, more brains. Because I can't think of a zombie movie before that film that did that. So I think whenever you think of zombies, brains, more brains, it's from Return of the Living Dead. So, still a fun movie. Number 8, The Hitcher. Absolutely loved the original The Hitcher with Rutger Hauer. Rest in peace to him. Him and C. Thomas Howell play a really intense game of cat and mouse. I thought Robert Harmon, the director, did a nice job photographing the lonely highways that really felt like you were in the middle of nowhere, that really felt like there was nowhere to turn to for safety. Rutger Hauer's character, there's almost a mythological quality to the character where you don't know where he came from. I mean, you don't even know who or what he is. Does he do things that seems like nobody else can? Like take out a whole police station single-handedly. So is he former military in special ops? Is he something else altogether? Is he just a guy who's just good at what he does? I thought there was supposed to be some 4K coming out this year. Been zero word on it. This will say, that was 2024. Well, I guess. Because it was supposed to be 2023, and nothing happened. So now it's going to be 2024. Okay. If you say so. But the fact that it still has that kind of good release in the U.S. is dumbfounding to me. But it's all about the rights issues, of course. I guess no one can really get the rights settled in the U.S. for the Hitcher. It's depressing. Number 7, Halloween. I mean, John Carpenter classic. What more can be said? The music, Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Pleasance, The Shape, the Michael Myers mask. Everyone's talking about Halloween. What more can be said? Number 6, Society. Interesting choice. Not only to be on the list, but to be so high. I don't mind Society. It's a very weird movie by, I think it was Brian Yuzna, where a guy realizes that his rich parents and the other people around aren't quite what they seem to be. And in particular, the finale with the Streaming Mad George effects, and it's hard to describe what happens during that finale of that movie. How the hell do you even describe it? It's, you have to see it to believe it. I'll put it that way. So I mean, there's other films, Dog Soldiers, Chainsaw, Elm Street 3, Dawn of the Dead, I put above Society, but again, it's his list. It's not a bad film, and this is an interesting choice. Not interesting, oh, that's bullshit. No, interesting as in, oh, I didn't expect that. But that's cool. It's not just the same list that every other person has for their favorite horror. So that makes it more different. And it's not a bad film either. Number 5, The Descent. To be honest, I haven't seen that film in a long time. I do remember liking it. I do remember it being claustrophobic. I do remember the actresses doing a good job. I like the idea of the creatures, like they've been in the dark so much they can't see, so they hunt by sound. I remember some pretty good set pieces, like directing moments, whether it be like how the movie begins, where there's a driving scene, and how someone dies during it. The ending, I guess, depends which cut you see. There's the one cut, which then led them into The Descent Part 2. Then there's the other cut, which I'm not sure how I feel about either ending, because one, in the back of my head, I know that's not the true ending, and even then there's a sequel where it was a dog shit sequel, and that character got fucked over anyway, so it didn't matter. Or you have the other ending, which is more of a psychological, depressing ending. So maybe it's not a film we watch a lot, but I do remember being a well-made movie that really showcases the claustrophobic cave system. And remember it being a fairly bloody movie too. Number 4, Evil Dead 2. Great sequel. My favorite of the Evil Dead franchise. Probably the top of the hour for Bruce Campbell. And just wall-to-wall with creativity, gags, energy. I still remember when I did not even know this film existed when I saw Army of Darkness. I thought Army of Darkness was just a one-off. I did. I thought it was just a one-off movie. And then years later, I'm reading a magazine. It was a Fangoria, and I'm looking through. I'm like, that guy looks like the guy from Army of Darkness. And I'm reading like the review of Evil Dead 1 and 2. And I'm like, the Evil Dead? What's that? Wait, he's got a chainsaw? So it is the guy from Army of Darkness. Wait, there's prequels to Army of Darkness? What the fuck? And then I saw Evil Dead 2 because I couldn't find Evil Dead 1. And I get to the end of the film. I'm like, yep, that's the beginning of Army of Darkness. And yep, there's the chainsaw. And fell even more in love, because while I do like Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 2 has still more of that gory horror, but also with the fun, adventurous comedy that you see in Army of Darkness. And just Ash and the chainsaw, groovy. I'm like, oh, right, yeah. Like a lot of films that era, Rambo and other people gearing up for war, for battle. Lisa Wolcott in Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. You got a lot of those gearing up. Commando, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Of course, Stallone and Rambo First Blood Part 2. I'm a sucker for that stuff, if done well. It was done well. So Evil Dead 2 I did quite enjoy. I think the first 15 minutes I'm sitting there going, is this movie good? Because the first like 10, 15 minutes is like, okay. But then, like, when the girlfriend gets possessed, and then it's her head, and her head is gone, but there's the body is holding a chainsaw, and then the whole thing with the how the house is making him crazy, and the all the furniture's laughing at him, and the hand, and I'm like, okay, this is a wild ass movie, but I love it. Number 3, Jacob's Ladder, one of my favorites as well. It would be on my list. I love Jacob's Ladder. I mean, the top 3 is Jacob's Ladder, The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, and Alien. Great choices. What more could be said? I mean, Jacob's Ladder, Tim Robbins gives, to me, an Oscar-worthy performance. The music is fantastic and haunting. The visuals, the feel of it is very... You could tell why some of the people who made Silent Hill said that this was an inspiration. It's just one of those movies that just makes you feel a sense of sadness, in a weird way, a sense of hope at the very end of what happens when we die, what happens in between life and death. I look at it a different way. Some people just view it as a dream. I view it more as a sense of purgatory, where you're choosing between hellish tortures and possible heaven. I look at it, I guess, a much more of a religious allegory than some people do. Which, I mean, it's understandable. Jacob's Ladder is a biblical reference, as well as the ladder being the drug reference in the movie. And it's a heartfelt movie. It's a heart-wrenching movie. And you just whiff Tim Robbins' character all the way through, and you just feel every step, every bad turn that happens to this guy. And it's just such a hellish journey with some really striking visuals. That film is so underrated and deserves so much more than it's gotten. So much more. I mean, people want to talk about, The Exorcist and all these other movies. The way they view that, I view Jacob's Ladder as in the pedestal, of a high pedestal of horror, at least to me. Number 2, John Carpenter's The Thing, what more can be said? It's a fantastic movie. Still remember seeing it the first time on VHS tape, being blown away. The paranoia, the sense of dread, the cold cinematography that you just felt isolated. The cast do a good job acting, and to use what little they have to work with to still make their characters stand out, whether it be Keith David or Wilford Brimley or Kurt Russell or David Clennon. I'll go with Charles. And we're at war with Norway, T.K. Carter. And of course, some of the best special effects of all time by Rob Bottin, which I still don't know what happened to him. He disappeared into thin air. He's off the reservation somewhere. I don't know. I don't know why he disappeared. I mean, you would think, hey, some people, even if it's just to do conventions and get some money, which a lot of people do. But I guess he just wants to live in isolation somewhere. I don't know. I don't know what the deal was. I don't know. Just strange to me. But Jar Jar's The Thing is a classic. And so is Alien. Now, I do prefer Aliens, but the original Alien is Ridley Scott's finest hour. Great cast: Sigourney Weaver, Yaphet Kotto, Tom Skerritt, Harry Dean Stanton, Ian Holm, and others, John Hurt. And wonderful design by H.R. Dieter, great special effects. I love the look of the film. Yes, it does have this old look of the technology, but in a way it still works for that film, aesthetically speaking. Jared Goldsmith's score, the blue-collar truck drivers in space, and the banter dialogue they have. Listen, we gotta talk about the bonus situation here. It's still a very visceral movie. I know it's labeled sci-fi, but that's one you can really feel the horror in that movie. And it made aliens scary again. If you think about the time, people were not really scared of, quote, aliens. I mean, Star Wars, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, watching TV like Star Trek, 50s movies that would be more silly, laughable than, quote, scary. Although some, like The Thing from Another World, are still good movies and did what they could. But nothing to this extent. Chest bursters and claustrophobic tunnels and Tom Steer returns and there's the xenomorph. Nothing to that effect. And then when you hear that Ridley Scott was inspired by the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I'm like, okay, I can see the intensity he was going for. And rather effective. So, yeah, all these films I like. The top four especially is a good choices. And overall, yeah, there's not. I mean, even Society and Return of the Living Dead, they'd be lower on my list, but I still enjoy those movies. And overall, a good list. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye bye.